time is over to you.
Thank you, Alia, and once again, thanks for organizing, to you and to Putu. Putu, perhaps you would be so kind to put the PowerPoints. I'd like to say welcome to everybody. Special welcome to a few people. That is first of all Kudakwashi Chindoza, who has been ill for quite a little while. Fortunately, he is in very good shape now. I think, Kuda, it's very good to see you here, and especially as we are starting the implementation in Zimbabwe. Perhaps you'd like to say something, Kudakwashi. If you can, please do.
Thank you, Prof. I'm happy to be back. I'm fit now.
That's wonderful. And perhaps is there any update on the installation deployment of the FAIR data point between you and the team, Mariam especially?
Yeah, I talked to Professor Francisca last time. Then I also spoke to the Pro Vice Chancellor, and I think this week we will meet again to finalize on something.
Very good. That is very good news.
Yeah. Thank you, Prof.
Yes. Then also I welcome Golden Mauganidze. Golden is the coordinator of the Zimbabwe group. Golden, welcome, and perhaps you would also like to say something.
Thank you very much, Prof. Hi, everyone. I am very happy to be part of this group, and I look forward to meaningful contributions, and I'm so excited to be on board. Thank you.
We're so happy to have you, Golden. And don't hesitate to ask any questions, Golden. You are new, but it's very important that you understand where everything is. And the deployment of all this in Zimbabwe is really important to all of us. So please feel free, any question, either in the chat or anywhere else. You're very, very welcome. Then I also would like, you're welcome. Then I also would like to give a special welcome to Eric Flickenschild. We were just in a meeting with some of the technical team, and Eric, Eric, it's good to have you here. Do you just want to introduce yourself briefly, Eric?
Yes, thank you, Miriam. Happy to be here because I'm very curious about what you're doing within Africa. There are a lot of parallel activities, and we within the LUMC, we are busy with the access control thing. So I'm very curious to what Putu has done till now and what you are organizing. I think it's all about not inventing the wheel and joining forces. So nice to be here. Thank you.
And we are also very happy with those meetings with LUMC and all of those partnerships that are really shaping up. So if you go to the next slide, maybe. Yeah, first, before I go to the 4 items of the agenda, I would like to give the floor for some updates. From my side, I need to update that today we are missing the whole Ethiopia team. Even actually, I see that Wondimo is not here. He was earlier today in another meeting that we had. For the team from the northern region in Tigray, unfortunately, we have to say that they are completely in shut down as civil war is looming, or some would say perhaps has broken out. It's a very disconcerting situation. One of our colleagues from Mekelle University happens to be with us in Tilburg and Leiden University. He's one of our PhD students, and I invited him to join. He might join a little bit later if he's able to, and he might give a brief update then. But maybe just to share for your understanding, The situation is quite hot. There are many reports of casualties, and the international community and political and other actors from the region have really asked for de-escalation. But at the moment, there is yet to start a process of diplomacy and de-escalation. So the situation is quite serious, and this is hitting us both, well, at a level of concern for the peace and the consequences for the people in the northern region. But also it's quite, it's affecting us quite harsh because we have a strong team from Mekelle with Gitu and Samson and Araya who are always here. So for this time, they have not been able to get back in touch with them. We have done from our side everything to reach out to them. Yeah, we will be keeping you updated. We just should really pray for their safety. And that's all I can say for now. I don't know, Professor Francesca, would you like to add anything else on this? Francesca, are you there? Francesca there?
I think she's not there.
Oh, she's not here. Okay. Then I want to ask if there are any updates from anybody else. And if that is not so, then we are going to the agenda. First of all, an update from the steering committee. Can go for that to the next slide. We had a steering committee yesterday. This was an important meeting to start the project and get all the budgets in place. We have been mandated to do this. And also the organigrams, as we showed them last week, that was confirmed, as well as the technical team. So I'm very quickly going to take us through that so that everybody understands the governance as it has now been confirmed. If you go to the next slide, then Putu. So the VODAN Africa board and foundation in Kampala are the top decision-making body. Of course, VODAN Africa also serves to facilitate the broader network of VODAN Africa and Asia as we now have it. KIU is the coordinating partner, and we have the VODAN Foundation in Brussels to facilitate this. We then have the steering committee of the different projects, the steering committee of FMO. That is the steering committee that met yesterday, the steering committee of the Google project, and the communication and dissemination project, which deals with the media and outreach, the special issue, and the Convergence seminar. We will be talking to all of this today. So going to the next project, to the next slide. Here we have the VODAN Africa steering committee that reports to the VODAN Africa board that has been constituted with all the coordinators of the 6 countries and under the leadership of the VC of KIU and with Francesca as the coordinator. And the main implementation here is in Uganda, Ethiopia, and Zimbabwe. We will be starting with the deployment of the FDP in Zimbabwe now soonest, as per the involvement of Golden and Kudakwashi to make those arrangements. Then going to the next slide, the Google project is then really serving the Tunisia, Kenya, Nigeria platform so that the VODAN Africa team remains intact. and the technical teams, which also go across to our partners in Asia. Going to the next slide. This is the situation on the special issue. We will be speaking on that later today, and Dr. Sakinat is managing this process. Then going to the next slide. Then we are coming to the technical teams. The technical teams, this ties in very much with the work of our technical partners, and we have 3 technical partners in addition to the Go Fair office. The first technical partner is the DS Wizard, and then the second is CDAR, and the third is the LUMC team and the personal health train. So as we discussed last week, the DS Wizard, the deployment of the FAIR data points, the convergence of the FAIR data points across the other solutions, and the use of the WHO ECRF template and expansion of template. This is in the hands of G2 and Samsung, together with Marek and the team there with Robert. There is update on this because there is a meeting on Thursday. What time, Aliyah? Do you have that?
Do you mean, I'm not sure, so I need to check.
Maybe you can check and put it in the chat, and then we can see who would be attending this meeting. I think it might also be very useful for Kudakwashi to attend that meeting. That's really on the focus of the FAIR data point at the center of our tooling. So thanks for putting that in the chat, Aliyah. Then Putu, if we go to the next slide, the partner, the technical partner, CDAR, that team is led by Aliyah, and there will be technical meetings every Monday at 4:30 CET, which is very early California time and very late Kazakhstan time for Aliyah, so it's a sort of a compromise. And anybody would like to attend those meetings could inform Aliyah on this. And this meeting is focusing on the local deployment of CDAR, the use of CDAR both for patient data in the clinics and flexible creation of templates, as well as the deployment of science data. So this is also very important for Dr. Mariam and her team. I'm sure she will also be attending those meetings. And then also the issues of access and control, which ties in with the work with the LUMC as well. That is the next one, Putu. Yeah, so this is the LUMC team. This is the team that works with Eric, and there's very much focus here now on the data access control and security. And perhaps I can ask Eric to show a few slides of the meeting that we just had, Eric, because I think it's very, very useful to also share this in this meeting. Then you can take over the screen for a moment and just share those slides, and then we'll continue with the overview of the other teams.
I'm still disabled, Miriam, to share screen.
Aliyah will share the Aliyah or Putu will share the screen with you. Aliyah, can you share the screen with Eric?
Eric is okay to share now.
Yeah.
I will try. Let's see where it is. Can you see it now? No.
Yes, we're seeing it. Yeah, it's fine.
So now it's full screen?
It's yeah,
Yeah, it's now.
yeah.
Yeah, you can see
So
the screen? Yeah, okay. Well, this is more or less a presentation that starts with the beginning. In 1995, Robert Kahn introduced the distributed digital object services, and that were more or less the beginning as what we know now called a fair data object. So that's all about convergence. There was a lot of vision. He had the vision. He invented TCP/IP, and after that it was HTTP, the World Wide Web, and now we are dealing with data. And it's very exciting to live in this area and to see that we can be contribute to this. What I want to gain with this presentation is to show you that IT architecture and the hourglass model are usable concepts for fair deployment. Well, everyone asks me, how do we start? Because we don't have a data competence center yet, and we do have a lot of very special tooling about metadata for machines. So this is a real business challenge. Well, I think within Europe, I'm not sure about Africa, the open group TOGAF architectural model is adopted and everyone is using it. So this is familiar ground for a lot of institutions. So this could be a starting point for a symbiosis regarding methodology. So in a way, we have to think how we can combine those two things within one language and see if we can put them into an institutional process as they are used to defining projects, etc. Well, the answer is you have to start with enterprise architects. They are in the preliminary phase, as you can see here. They are always busy with a vision, starting up, looking at the regulations. They are there, and well, they have make the floor for implementing things into IT. So what you need there is a data steward we call a policy making one. And well, you have to have the expertise of an enterprise architect on board. So now I'm coming back in February. We had a symposium called I Am for Future, and with Barend and Eric, we had this presentation, and it's still very valuable to say it now, because what Barend said was there is no fundamental technology barriers to fair. So in a way, it's not new for us. If I implement a fair data point, it's not very new. We just now have to know how to do this in a technical matter. But of course, we have to look at the principles that are the red principles we are dealing with it with now. And the A of fair is the one which has focus now. And already a lot of metadata for machine workshops are dealing with the blue principles. Many data scientists now learn how to make data more fair. And if you look at the problems, the barriers, the hard problems are social community agreements. It's all about ethical things. It's all about GDPR. When it's anonymous, is it trusted enough? So what we have to do is combine those methodology. As you can see in the left upper corner, this is the TOGAF model for the layers we distinguish and to get it practical into a project. And you can see beginning at the top for the business architecture, there is a privacy framework discussion stack you can use to be in contact with your board of directors, your security officers, and your privacy officers, and to reach that moment that you know, okay, I have now the detailed things about the principles we have in our house, and we can start building. Well, parallel, it's not again parallel. Of course, there are already people who are in trainings and know how to verify the data itself. And parallel, you can use the VODAN in the box and you can implement the whole fair data point and see how it works within your own environment. So now we're looking in comparison with the hourglass model. The hourglass model is very informative because as you can see, the fair data object is in the middle, and above this is all about the data itself. It's about communities who must produce a fair implementation profile, who must discuss things and make agreements on how they will make data fair and which registers they choose how to become fair. And they can do that in a better way to sit in one table. You can't do this as one institution or one country. You have to do this in a community. So the upper part is more the policy making, are the data scientists who are working on the data itself. And on the lower part, that's under the fair data object, there you see all the technical stuff. What we have to do is look at the access that we are now doing with Putu and looking into the identifier systems, the network. There's a lot of work to do there because we have to gain trust. Well, let's see it in a four-step method. The first step is to focus on legislation and ethical issues. You have to discuss this with your privacy officers, your board of directors, because there are always controversial things you have to take care of. So this is a separate sub-process within the implementation process of FAIR. The second one is parallel. The community can start working on a FAIR implementation profile. We have demonstrated this within VODAN. We were the first one who now use all the FAIR concepts, the FAIR data point. So we more or less, everyone can borrow this and can use this from now on. The step that's already parallel ongoing is the community works on metadata for machine workshops. Now in the Netherlands, there are a lot of workshops because we have a lot of COVID-19 programs that will be attached to our FAIR data point, and that is all the hospitals in Holland are now busy with that. This is a ZAN-MWE. Well, it's a sponsored program within the Netherlands. And what we are doing now within the group I'm participating and coordinating is we are actually looking at the trust, because we have to build a fair data point infrastructure that can be trusted. And we'll elaborate on this within the framework, because this is the framework that I've set up with a privacy officer of the Erasmus University in the Netherlands. And we think you have to have one model for all kinds of disciplines. So this is not specially for healthcare, everyone can use it. But it started with the fact that you have to start with legal observations, because there are a lot of legal hurdles now that prevent you from implementing IT and FAIR into your network. So let's see how you can look at this, because the very important message I want to give to you is you have to choose which perspective you are dealing with. There are different use cases within the FAIR implementation. You can go for big data insights, that means you are using artificial intelligence. You can go for personal medicine, and within the Netherlands we would like to have more room within the GDPR, because we have a job to do, cure patients. And there is open science. We all want open data and open science, but those, I must emphasize, those are different use cases that have separate ethical discussions and separate privacy issues you have to deal with. So this is very important that you have a discussion about this and know what you have to tell to your IT people, how to build it and how to gain trust. Of course, you see that you always have to be in control. That's another observation. Compliance and accountability, of course, the security must be in place. And you have a lot of digital challenges, and you can fill that in because every community has its own challenges. Well, this is more or less the access control approach. In the middle, you can see fair data that is pseudonymized. Because, well, this is from a healthcare perspective. I think if we are, for instance, looking for an open science researcher who wants to use data, he always will use pseudonymized fair data. There's a lot of discussion in Europe that how to protect it, because there's always a way to find out how you can breach the privacy. So all the discussion goes about anonymous data. How can you anonymize it? How can you give guarantees? Well, the approaches, and this framework is meant not to discuss this with technical people, but with policy people, board of directors, privacy officers. So the first step you have to do is, that's the start, look at the ethical problems. Are there any ethical problems? Then as an institution, you have to make a statement, and within a community, they could be different, because access to the data, sometimes you will not get access because one institute has a different opinion about how you translate the GDPR. So that's fine. Then you have less data, but you can do your job. So the first sub-process is that you deal with the ethical problems. The second point is, and I think you have heard about this, is what we call the personal health train concepts. That's it. The personal health train is about how to deal with data sharing, data visiting, bring the algorithm to the data, what kind of appointments do you have to make in the community, what kind of appointments do you have within your institutions, and do they match? So there's a whole lot of stuff in there, and we are now starting up this personal health train thing in the Netherlands and try to do this. What we will do in the LUMC is bottom up. We will work with what we already have in place, and we try to do what is possible. And of course, we don't start with the difficult use cases, but we can do a lot. We can start. The second layer, pronounced by C, is ontology-based access control. I've read this. This is still a lot of theory. It's within the FAIR community, but it's very promising. And at a certain moment, it will be available, and that will be an extra layer to protect your data. And the D layer, that's the anonymization layer. That was the layer that, for me, was the trigger to start this, because a lot of new services become available on the market. We have TNO, that's a technology community team in the Netherlands that deals with, for instance, differential privacy. That are new technologies that, with scientific nauwkeurigheid, they can predict. Yeah, they can predict that is absolutely the trust. So, in a way, and that's the whole scheme. This is about technology, but you have to combine this with the GDPR. So there are three elements that gain trust for a board of directors. He or she wants to see that you have the right GDPR interpretation and ethical things attached to it. Secondly, you have appointments made within your community. And third, the IT people have installed the right mechanism. And those three together must have gained the trust. So to finalize the 5 highlights of the proposed privacy framework is that you are thinking about the 4 access control protection layers in relation to your own community. Secondly, you have to use, or you would like to use the personal health train concept, because you will need this. For instance, now in the COVID-19 data exchange, we certainly will use these concepts. Third, there is you always have to think about pseudonymization at the source. Our only hospital information systems are not yet pseudonymized. I think that's wrong. I think they have to be pseudonymized from the start. Otherwise, you have to create a second data platform in which they are all pseudonymized. So there is a practical way of going around to this. Well, the fourth step is what we call the positive sum of social perspective. This is a lot of theory, but it says, to be in a short way said, that you always have to have in mind that in a hospital you want to cure patients. So that must be of a certain weight if you are interpreting the GDPR or other regulations. So you don't have to be precisely that you always will follow the law, and if there is any doubt, you can have this perspective, and there is room to do your job. And the fifth one is think, act small. That I think I can't see. Let's see that this is this thing. This is the project management approach. What we do in the Netherlands, we go to the region, to all the regional hospitals, and with those hospitals we have a community, and we start. So you can practice this.
Ẹ wò kí lẹ wí ṣé bẹ́ẹ̀ bá yọ ṣọlá rẹ̀ nǹkan èlò lẹ máa gbà ẹ wà.
And this was the end of my presentation.
Thank you, Eric. That was again, I mean, really good. Let me see if there are any comments or questions. And then let's go back to the other presentation, because this very organically ties in with further updates from our side.
Professor Miriam, there are no questions regarding this presentation.
Yeah, they might still come. And so we will still look at the chat, but thank you. So we will have bi-weekly meetings. They started today at 1 o'clock, so every 2 weeks from today. And I'm seeing that there's a lot of activity in the chat of people being interested also to join this group led by Putu. Then the previous slide is the technical team led by Mariam, which really looks at the development of queries, which ties in to this and which is part of the meetings that we have with LUMC and the counterpart there, Nuria, who's working on the synthetic data, which allows us to really experiment with the queries. So anyone wanting to join the team of Mariam, also do write up and give you support to Mariam. Then Putu, if you go to the last slide, we go back to the ones in between, but just the last slide number 15. What am I saying? Oh no, I had put it in the right order. Sorry, 13. So now this ties in with the presentation of Eric, and that is our layers of tying in with the what am I saying? The regulatory framework. And the way the processes that we have in organizing the regulatory framework is based on, well, 3 particular activities. The first one is the agreement on data protection that every partner in VODAN Africa and Asia signs. I'll just give the floor to Francesca to update us on that. The second is the ethical review procedure of anyone who is engaged with VODAN Africa and Asia from a research perspective. So most of us researchers here have carried out the ethical review in our universities. And then the third layer of creating convergence to the regulatory framework is the tool of fair equivalency. And in fact, many here have been sending in abstracts for the special issue on the work that has been carried out on fair equivalency with regulatory frameworks in the particular places where we are working with fair data. So Francesca, perhaps I can give you the floor now to update on the agreement on data protection.
Yes, thank you, Professor Miriam. The agreements have been sent out after the last meeting to all the country partners. And so far, we have received from Kenya, from Nigeria, and from Tunisia. Of course, we understand the situation with Ethiopia, and I expect that their country agreements will be returned as soon as things return to normal in the country.
And Francesca, perhaps you can speak a little bit to the key content of the agreement, if that's possible at this point. I don't know whether it's possible.
Yes, it's possible. So the key points of the agreement is because our partners and sponsors are from the European region, so the agreement ensures compliance with the GDPR, and of course with the Go Fair rules of engagement, and then finally with the privacy and data protection laws in each of the partner countries where we are conducting the VODAN Africa project. So those are the sections of the data protection agreements that are required to be signed by every country to ascertain that they will comply with the GDPR of the European Commission or the European area, where we have our sponsors and some partners, and of course to ensure that they go fair, which is like the parent technical body, the go fair rules of engagement will be complied with, and finally the rules in the individual countries as contained in the special act for privacy and data protection for each country.
Actually reflecting on this, Francesca, it might be quite useful to have an article in the special issue on the various arrangements on data protection and regulatory compliance that we have in place. So maybe I can just put it out here, whether there are any authors who would be interested to work on this and to present an abstract. I think it would really complement the special issue in so many ways. Then let me ask Putu whether you, or no, Mariam or Putu, I don't know, would one of you explain a little bit the fair equivalency tool? Mariam or Putu?
Mariam? Yeah, I think I will explain about the fair equivalency. Actually, fair equivalency is about finding fair equivalent content in local regulatory frameworks. So, in a country in health regulatory framework, so we compare each principle of fair, and then if we find the equivalent principle, so we will use code 1, and if there is no equivalent principle in the regulatory framework, so it will be score 0. So at the end we will find a percentage that will show how equivalent health regulatory framework in a country. So yeah, and then we can also like explain which regulatory framework that equivalent with fair, and how they are equivalent with fair principle.
Yeah, thank you, Putu. And then, of course, what has also been done is that in each of the clinics or hospitals, analysis is made of the particular data information modalities, so that then FAIR ties in with both the requirements and the practices within each clinic or hospital. And there are also quite some articles on this in this special issue. So yeah, we will be able to analyze these different layers further as this is coming, as this is being documented. Wondimu is asking, is the agreement signed by university or country level? Just for clarity, the agreement signing, Wondimu, is for every and each partner. So if there are 6 universities in Ethiopia that are participating in VODAN Africa, then there will be 6 signatories of agreements. And the same is for the clinics, each clinic. So every organization that handles data in the project is required to sign the data protection agreement. This is in compliance with, all the requirements that are needed since we are working with very sensitive data. And that also means that as part of the agreement, once the data are being handled, so far we've not been we've not needed to do that in very extensive ways, but when we are really working with the patient data in metadata, then there also needs to be a data plan to make sure that it complies with this agreement. Yeah, and refers to all of the issues that personal data are properly protected. Thanks for all those questions. Then going to the next, the special issue. Congratulations to all of us. 21 abstracts have been approved. Dr. Sakinat, Aliyah, they are in a special folder of abstracts. So these can now be handled. It is clear if you see your review, abstract review, then either it has been approved or approved with comments. We have not needed to reject any abstract, fortunately. And if there are comments, please look carefully at those comments to handle them. The next steps of this is that quite a few of these articles tie in with the seminars to be prepared for the Fair Convergence Symposium. So we need to look at how we organize that. And then all the authors need to make sure that they present the draft articles in early January, and I'll give some instruction on the article. So if you go to the next slide. For the articles, well, it is of course really important now to look at the comments and to further develop who exactly are the authors of the article. If you can use more input from other authors, then really this is the time to consolidate this. And then for the article proper, each article will need to have a clear problem statement, and that problem statement should be based on a solid academic literature review. And from this literature review, the research gap that you are presenting in your article, that should emerge, that should be logically emerge from the problem statement that you are presenting. And the research gap would lead to the research question and the sub-questions, which really are the purpose of your paper that you are presenting. So the investigation is led by research questions that emerge from the research gap, and the research gap emerges from the problem statement. So this is then presented within a consideration of relevance and ethical considerations, why you're putting in a lot of time. All of our time and effort is in there. So obviously every article really also needs to have either an academic or a societal relevance or both, and has to comply with ethical considerations, which include the regulatory framework, as we have just discussed it. Then present a theoretical framework, or at least a knowledge perspective. You know, what is the lens through which you are looking at this particular problem that you are addressing in the investigation that you are presenting. Then make sure to have a clear statement of methodology and what data is collected as the basis for the investigation. So what is the material that you can work with as part of the investigation presented in the article. Then, of course, that would be followed by the analysis of the data and the findings, which then is the basis of the conclusions, which are the answer to the research question. So in the conclusions, we expect you to go back to your research questions and to see how your findings, how your analysis of the data that you collected helps you to formulate an answer on the research questions, and then a discussion which really looks at, how you can understand these answers to the research questions, these conclusions, in terms of what you did and what you did not do, and what this means for the research community to further work with the work that you have presented. And so this would lead to an article of about 6,000 to 7,000 words. So then going to the next slide. That means that in terms of a timetable, it would really be useful to start working on the articles as papers for the International Fair Convergence Symposium. And so you can look at these 5 sessions that we have, but there are also important other sessions which are here in the link. And this link can be distributed actually. See where you can present your paper so that you use the Fair Convergence Symposium to get feedback on your paper and to work with peers from this community to strengthen the argument. We already have some leads. So on the curriculum development, that is Professor Francesca, Marianne Putu on the fair equivalency tool, and any others who are working with compliance and regulatory frameworks should aim to present their papers there. Then the verification of the tools in the context of groups that are very difficult to reach and on which there is very little data. This group is led by Morgan, Dr. Reginald and Dr. Mariam, so contact them to present your paper there. And then all the papers that tie in with personal health train, with health management relation to fair data would be in the 4th session, and anything on the future development of this for the health sector and beyond COVID in the 5th session. And we should still identify leads for those 2 sessions. I don't know if there are any volunteers who would be interested to lead the 4th or the 5th session. Let me see if anybody wants to raise their hand or present themselves in the chat. They would be very, very welcome. I think that the 4th session was already taken by Dr. Araya as per the previous meeting, so that should be filled out. And then there is the session beyond COVID. Thank you. It was Dr. Araya and Wondimu on the 4th one. And the 5th one, we don't have this yet, I think, if I'm right. Alia or Francesca, can you help me out here? The 5th one, was the 5th one Wondimu? You please open the mic.
Yes, Prof. It was Wondimu for the Wondimu and Dr. Araya for the 2 of them, because for the number 4 is on health management decision, which Dr. Araya and Wondimu, and then beyond COVID decision, we said that Wondimu and Dr. Araya, I think, also volunteered to join. But Wondimu is here now, so I think he can speak to see if he's willing to continue to take it on.
Thanks, Francesca. Great. Wondimu, can you update us on this?
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, Prof. Actually, I couldn't communicate with Dr. Arya due to this connection problem. So to speak frankly, I haven't started on this. So maybe I will start from this week, and then
Okay, that is great. Can I ask then Alia or Putu to put these groups of the Convergence Symposium in the VODAN data stewards up, so that we really start organizing ourselves on this. And I would suggest that then for next week, we develop the content of these 5 sessions, because this is actually really coming up very, very soon. So if Alia and Putu can put this information out, and any of the facilitators, if you would like to have a conversation with Professor Francesca or me or both of us, let us know, and then we take things from there. I see that Kudakwashi would like to work on this with Dr. Araya, and also Reginald as well, on the Beyond COVID-19. So perhaps Kudakwashi on the one on health management policy, and Beyond COVID, COVID would be then Dr. Reginald. And Obina could design a page on, oh, fantastic, on our website to put this information as well. Great, Francesca. Then we'll work on that. And I also see that Mariam had a discussion with the speaker, but the proof of concept session was approved as well. Yes, that is the session on the that's a poster session, Mariam, correct? The one with Marek, that's a poster session with Marek. And this ties in with a poster and also an article proposal abstract that has also been approved unconditionally of Mariam and Marek. So these are 6 sessions then, Obina and Putu and Alia to put on the information channels. Okay, then, yes. Did somebody want to say something?
It was me, Alia. I was telling yes.
Okay, good, good. Okay, then I think we're almost at the end. So let me look at, Kubrum is just sending his regards from Mekelle University. He is here and he'll join the next meeting. And he will try to be in touch with Dr. Araya Wondimu. So any message from Dr. Araya, I think you can channel it through me, and then I'll put you in touch with Kubrum from Mekelle University, who is here with us. Then going to the next slide, Putu. Yeah, you see, we did it, and it is 14:58, so that's very excellent. Sakinat, any update on the special issue? Will you be able to handle the reviews, that the authors can see the reviews? Abdullahi, you are saying there are 30 abstracts. No, the abstracts that were accepted were 21, but I don't think that there was any abstract that was not accepted. So I think it's just a matter of communication. There was another folder made with the abstract. I don't know if people can see that, but I can sort that out with Dr. Sakinat and Alia just now after this meeting. All right, is that clear? And if there are still some more abstracts,
sure.
if there are some more abstracts as a result of this discussion today, then that is still possible. Of course, we're getting, I mean, 21 articles is already quite a lot, but we can still handle a few more. So if there are more suggestions as of from this meeting, but then please contact Alia as soon as you can, so that we really have this under control. I think this is everything for now. Are there any meeting?
I think Dr. Sakinat has raised her hand, so she has something to tell.
Yeah, Dr. Sakinat, please go ahead. Sakinat? Prof?
Okay, yes, can you hear me now? Yes,
We-
good afternoon, everyone. I'm sorry, the network has been bad. It's going on and off. And just briefly, now we have about 31 articles that article proposals, but about 22 abstracts submitted. And we advise that no article was rejected, just like Professor Miriam said, because at this stage we didn't reject any article. All ideas are welcome, but what we advise is that we should structure our work or our article or our abstract to fit the aim of the special issue, which is surrounded by FAIR, F-A-I-R. So that's what we agreed on, and just like we is original, that the article is original, and we'll check for plagiarism. So, and there is a good landslide, because the first time we had about 12 articles, abstracts submitted. As at last week, we had 16, but as at today, we had about 22, which is an improvement. So we still want people to submit more abstract, but we encourage them to structure the abstract away from away from the body of the article, maybe structure it between 250 and 500 words, and make sure that the aim of the work is centered around FAIR. Thank you, ma. Though I missed the major part of the meeting.
Oh, I'm so sorry, but I hope you can be, you can still see the recording. But
Yes, yes.
yeah, Dr. Sakinat is very right on that advice, that please make sure that as you are now reflecting on further elaborating the articles, make sure that you really tie in with the central theme of the special issue, which you have available in the general outline of the special issue. All of that you can find in the folder, and you have access to the folder. So perhaps Aliyah and Putu can send, or Dr. Sakinat can send again where to find the folder and a description of the special issue. As for the 30 articles, the fact that there are 31 articles does not mean that all of the 31 articles actually have an abstract. There are some articles there that were proposed, but there never was an abstract. So we have looked at all of the articles that were presented with an abstract. They are 21. We have approved them and provided comments. So it's now to Dr. Sakina to arrange that you will see these comments, and Aliyah put the comments in the text of the particular articles which are in the folder. And I should really thank Aliyah for doing that. There was a lot of nitty-gritty work, and thank you really very much, Aliyah, for that job. And also Sakinat and Dr. Feng Hong. Dr. Sakinat, was a lot of work to review these abstracts, and you did an excellent job. So very proud of the team, very proud of the technical teams. I think we're doing very well, very excited now about the participation from Zimbabwe. Kudakwashi, Golden, so happy to have you here. And with this, I think we can now close the meeting. For now, we'll see each other next week. Let's absolutely pray for peace in Ethiopia. We need all our brothers and sisters there to be able to work with us and to be healthy and in peace. Looking forward for the updates next week. Before I close, Kudakwashi and Golden, if you succeed in doing the deployment of the FAIR data point next week, then let us hear from you next week. We would love a presentation on how that transpired in Zimbabwe. With that, I'm going to close. Thank you so very much, everyone. And thank you all for your wonderful contributions. Bye for now. Looking forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you everyone for joining this meeting, and see you next week, next Tuesday. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Alia.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
Yes,
Anu.
Alia. Bye.
Bye, Kuda. Thank you, Dr. Sakinat. Bye, everybody.